How we found you guys is on GitHub. You're one of the top projects in the AI space.
Both, especially me, we had like lots of pictures on our disk completely unsorted. Like we figured it's like faster to write the software than to like sort them manually.
Hackers are sort of exploiting that. You just got to be careful anytime you put anything on the cloud. If your account gets hacked, it could mean real trouble for you. And with this, everything's locally, so you don't have to worry about that, which is super nice.
So the idea is to give our users a tool that respects their privacy and that puts them in control of their data. And we use AI to make it easier to manage large amounts of photos.
Yeah, so I have a background in like from the university side, like in physics, but I grew up at the computer science department in southern Germany. Ever since I'm working in IT, and that was just something I didn't have a lot of experience with because I worked on mostly business applications, I would say, web services, but mostly like for enterprise customers, and so those were like pretty boring, so to say. So I wanted to work with like more modern technologies, try new things, and then also apply my mathematical background to it. And so that was the ideal combination.
Yes, for me, I also have a scientific background. I originally studied biology. I did my master's in neurobiology. This is also where my interest in AI comes from, because there are some parallels. And yes, during my studies, I realized that the working conditions in research are not really what I wanted for myself. And I had a strong interest in technical things, so I started to work as a QA engineer after my studies, and then switched to software product management and worked a couple of years for agencies and startups before we started working on Photoprism.
Very cool. So you mentioned Photoprism, that's your project that you've been working on. Can you tell us just a little bit about what that is? What does it do?
Yes, Photoprism is a privacy and user-friendly AI-powered photo management app. So the idea is to give our users a tool that respects their privacy and that puts them in control of their data. And we use AI to make it easier to manage large amounts of photos. So after you tell the software where your photo library is located, a lot of things are happening automatically in the background. So we detect faces, there's an image classification that adds labels to the images. We read a lot of metadata out of the image files itself, but also out of file names or folder names. Then we have reverse geocoding that adds additional metadata based on the location where the photos have been taken. There's a duplicate detection that makes sure that people don't have the same image twice in their library. Files can be related to each other. For example, if you do like time burst photos, so a lot of photos of the same scene, or you have a raw photo and different edits of it, such as a black and white or sepia version, those files get stacked automatically. And yes, we do collect a lot of data around these files and use them to display the files to users in different ways. So normally if you organize files, a lot of people do it like in the Windows Explorer or the Finder from Apple, and there you can just browse your files by folders. In Photoprism, we do have different pages, so you do have a search with all of your files, then you do have a section where your files are sorted by the objects that are on the files. You have a section where you can view all photos where a certain person is on. You have a map where you can browse photos by location. We also do filter out non-photographic or low-quality content, such as memes or screenshots you have on your phone. Yes.
Yeah, so I would say like the original use case, or like the first goal we had, is that the software is working for our own pictures, because we both, especially me, we had like lots of pictures on our disk completely unsorted. And like we figured it's like faster to write the software than to like sort them manually. And like for her it was, I'd say, mainly the cat pictures, so that she could like find all the pictures with her cats on it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I run into this problem all the time on the iPhone. Is like, you know, over the years, iPhone's been out since, I don't know what, 2000, I forget, 2000, pre 2010. just to be able to search. Everybody's got so many pictures on their phone or via the iCloud or via on their phone, on their local phone. It's so hard to find anything. And if you have to find anything that's, 6 years old, you have to scroll forever. Now you can search for some things on the iPhone, but not compared to what you guys do in Photoprism. So it makes it really convenient to be able to go in and search for, all cat photos or all photos of pizza or all photos of a particular person. So that's really cool. Is that sort of the what motivated you guys to start building the project?
Different things. So I wanted to do something with AI and
find the cat pictures.
And find the pictures.
And find the cat pictures.
So I guess that was really the main thing. So the first recognition we did is for the find the cat pictures, and then all the other the software supports many different labels, but this was like the first kind of use / test case we had. And also what's also like important, like besides the privacy aspect, is that like with our software you can just like point it to any directory and then search all the contents without having to upload them to the cloud, because many people think it's like more convenient if you have a cloud search or a cloud application. But if you have like lots of pictures for whatever reason, some local disk, and it's not very convenient if you first have to upload all of them to the cloud, because it could take hours or days even, or maybe weeks, depending on how much you have. So this is much faster to do a local search.
You mentioned privacy. One of the things that people are scared of is uploading their pictures onto these sort of websites and stuff, but they're nervous about it. Who's going to see my pictures? What measures do you take to protect privacy on Photoprism?
So first of all, the user decides where his photos are stored. So he can install Photoprism on his private server, on a server he owns, like by a hosting provider, or on his computer. And the photos never leave this location the user chose. So the artificial intelligence we use, such as the image classification or the facial recognition, is running completely local. So the files never leave the system, and no data is sent.
Yeah, that's also what makes it fast, because we don't, also for the recognition, we don't have to send the picture data to the cloud, because then you have like a round trip, and then the indexer stalls and needs to wait for the data. And you could, of course, like do it in some asynchronous way, where you like first index the files and then in the background update them or something like that. But this way, you can do it everything locally, and then when the file is indexed, it's actually completely indexed, and it's not like some data is missing and then you need to do another scan and then wait for some background worker until everything is done.
Sounds like a great way to organize your photos. I was just on a few longer plane rides, and one of my hobbies on plane rides is trying to sift through my phone to see what photos I like, what photos I ignore. And a lot of times I'm like, whoa, I forgot about this picture or something like that. So I really like this tool. I think it's very cool. When did you launch this platform?
So we started working on it on 2018. And I think we had the first stable release end of 2020.
So
you were in on this before the whole AI hype took off last year.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
We're doing this for like it's not really a long time. Like these type of models, they don't exist for a very long time. But these were like the first usable models that you could use for free also, that were not like completely proprietary, and they're like just getting better. So our plan is also to update the models from time to time, so users have like additional features or can detect additional types of pictures.
Cool. And one thing people can do right now, if you go to Photoprism.app, there's a demo there that shows you exactly what it looks like if you had it on your computer, and it's really cool to play around with. So you can go there right now, Photoprism.app, and play around with that on live on their website. It's just a demo, but they will show you what it would look like on your computer. One thing that's, back to the privacy thing, is people don't realize too, I don't want to scare people, but if you have all your pictures up in, even iCloud, something that you think is secure, via Apple. If your account got compromised, someone could get in and get all your pictures pretty easily. I just heard a story about someone, in the tech space in Silicon Valley. He's a big wig guy, and he said that it's very easy right now to, if a hacker really wanted to get into your Apple account, they could, because there's ways where they can turn on some kind of thing on your phone there's some kind of method to get into your account on Apple that hasn't been patched yet, in terms of like a setting that's meant for disabled people, and hackers are sort of exploiting that. So you just got to be careful anytime you put anything on the cloud. It could be, if your account gets hacked, it could mean real trouble for you. And with this, everything's locally, so you don't have to worry about that, which is super nice.
Yeah, it's actually the same thing with Google. It's currently being exploited, something with their authentication tokens, and it's, from what I know, it started spreading on YouTube this week.
Okay.
And then they're like infecting additional other accounts with this, and then also post the link or what it is there, and so it spreads. And then also, like besides this, it's also possible that your account gets blocked by Google because they think you have like whatever pornography in your account, and then you might lose access to all your pictures forever. And they don't do anything. They don't provide any kind of like personal support for private users. Then you just lost.
Right. Like for Google, if you ever, God forbid, you had problems with your account, there's no one to call and help you through it. I mean, there's no Gmail support or Google account support. There is if you're, have a paid tier, but even then, it's not good. So if you had problems, like you said, if your account got flagged because they're scanning all your pictures and they think you're doing something mischievous, which you really aren't, your pictures could be gone forever. So it's kind of scary, but it's cool that tools like these exist. Now, Photoprism, it's an open source project, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And how do people go about using your project? Can you just go through the basic steps on how they get it installed on their computer?
So we have different ways to install it. So some NAS providers have apps in their app stores. That's the easiest way. The other way is through Docker Compose. So we have a step-by-step instruction on our homepage, and you can follow it to install it on your server or computer.
I wanted to ask you guys more generally about AI and photography and imaging. The last few years, the last year particularly, we've seen deepfake images being created, different advancements in AI photography. What's your general opinion on that sort of thing? Or what direction do you think it's headed?
Everything is happening so fast as well. We also have an open AI, like a paid account where you can try their different models, and it's amazing. I'm not sure if we want to get involved in this generative AI thing, because there's so much potential for abuse. Obviously, either you could create pornography of friends or something like that, or kids you have pictures of, or politicians, and I think it's best to leave that to the big companies who have a whole department who can take care of these issues, because otherwise I think it could also be easy to get sued, and then you lose a lot of money, and then you did this for free at the end of the day, and then it's just not worth it, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing and scary at the same time. I mean, Ryan and I use some different image generation apps, Midjourney and Dolly. We've experimented with, and they're so fascinating because it's I can create anything that I want, but then at the same time, it's they are dangerous, and it is just how you use them, what purposes you're using them for, and Yeah, I'm kind of the same way as you, Michael. It's just like sitting back and watching this stuff unfold. It's very interesting to see what's going to happen with all this image generation in the next couple of months and years.
Yeah, I also was kind of like a trainee at a newspaper when I finished school, for a few weeks. But what I learned is that the pictures you take, they should like document the reality, kind of, in like a proper way. And there's some ethics attached to it, and using AI to create realistic photos. It just doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, there was a report that just came out on Monday, and it said that one of the biggest worries that people have about AI's impact even on the economy is its ability to create these pictures and this content that can mislead mass amounts of people, right?
Exactly.
Like people can make political decisions, or they can make business decisions or personal decisions based on images they see or content they see or generated articles that aren't true. And that can be very dangerous because a lot of these images look so real, right? And the content seems so real, and it's almost impossible at times to differentiate between, is that picture AI generated or is it not?
That's what
of
the
course,
next AI models do. The differentiation between AI and real photos.
Yeah, that's also, by the way, it's also bad for developers, like especially also open source developers who don't have that many resources. I've just heard from the author from the curl library and the curl command line tool.
Yeah.
And he's receiving lots of like bug bounty requests, bug reports for like security issues. They're like, many of them are made up now. So people ask ChatGPT, create like a bug report, find a security issue, and write a nice bug report for me, and then they try to get the bounty for it. And it creates so much additional work, and you cannot like recognize it just by looking at it if it's
Wow.
real or not.
So people are creating issues on GitHub that are fake.
Yes.
Wow.
There's,
So not in our case yet, but we read this blog
yeah,
post
if there's like a bug bounty program, for example, like there's open source projects that are used also by Microsoft or Google, and then they say, okay, if there's like a security issue that impacts us, then we're paying money to get it fixed. So that drives people to report these kind of security issues, or they try to find them, and if they're not smart enough, they use AI for it. We also thought about like having some issue bounties or bug bounties, but that's like one of the things that's why we decided not to do this.
Yeah.
So that we don't get like these fake reports. Yeah.
Sure. That's one of the things that if people aren't familiar with GitHub. If you have a project on GitHub, that's one of the really hard things to keep up with is issues, because especially if you're a popular product, it's hard to keep up with everything because a lot of the issues might not be, they might be from an end user that doesn't know much about the project, and they're creating an issue that really isn't an issue, and it's hard to keep up with those as an open source developer. One of the things that is kind of fascinating about images that people don't know is, and I'm sure you guys know a lot about this, is when you take an image, there's a lot of metadata on an image. So what is it called? EXIF data? Is that how you say it?
Also,
Yes.
yeah, there's all kinds of metadata, but this is like the EXIF is the traditional one. It is around like since the 90s, I guess. It started with the digital cameras, from what I know, and then there's XMP, which is a newer format, which can also be included. And so one of the things that our software does is actually like extract the same fields or similar fields from different types of formats, and then merges them, or like figures out like which is the best information to use.
This is one of the challenges because there's no real metadata standard. So every tool that is like creating photos, so every vendor is writing to different fields. So there are like common fields that are used a lot, but it's not the same for all vendors, and they're sometimes used for different purposes.
Yeah. So is for people that don't understand, is basically every single phone and camera out there, when you take a picture, it's got this metadata in there automatically unless you turn it off? Is that true? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so it depends on your phone settings. So, for example, you can turn something off, such as saving the GPS coordinates, and also other cameras can do it depending on which device you use and the settings. But normally, like at least taking at date or the camera device, which lens has been used, is saved like in the image file.
One of the fascinating things I learned last year is that there's apps out there that let you upload a photo, like say I think it's called like an EXIF app, for lack of a better term, because I don't know the exact name of it. But on the iPhone, you can download these EXIF apps and you can pull up a photo in there, and even a photo someone else sends you, and if depending on if that user had the EXIF data turned on or off in their iPhone settings, you can find out where they took that picture from. So it's kind of like tracking in a way that a lot of people don't know about, which is crazy. So like, for example, I played this game with my parents the last couple of years where they would send me a picture of where they were. And it would be like a photo in the woods, right? And because they like to go on hikes in the woods around us in Cleveland, Ohio, where I live. And every time I'd immediately put it up in the EXIF app, find out where they took the picture, and reply back, "You're at this park." And they were just blown away. They're like, "How do you do this? You're stalking me. Are you tracking my phone?" I never told them how I actually did it, but it was always fun to be able to guess where they were. So there are ways to find out where a picture was taken, depending on if the user had their that data turned on or off in their iPhone settings. So is there anything else in that EXIF data that's kind of interesting for the end user to know that, that data's like, and is there any kind of specific data that's tied to pictures that's very interesting that the end user, someone watching this podcast might not know about?
Serial numbers. So the usual smartphones, nowadays take pictures with, they don't have like serial numbers in the metadata, at least most of them. But from like the regular cameras, especially like professional cameras, they usually have like a serial number for the body and for the lens, so you can identify them. And then if this is like who this number belongs, then you can like if you lost your lens, if it got stolen, then you can basically search the internet. If somebody like posts a picture with like the same serial number, for example. And also, like, they can, of course, everyone can identify if the picture was taken with the same lens or not. The only thing is, it could, like, of course, it could be fake because it's not like there's no signature right now that would like guarantee that the data you find is correct. But this is actually something, and this is also related to AI, which they're working on right now. So like the big vendors like Canon and Nikon, I guess, so that there's a digital signature in the picture, just like a web server certificate when you like open the website of your bank, so it's the bank you're talking with, and so when you take a picture with one of those cameras that support it, then you have a digital signature, and then that guarantees that it's like a real photo taken with like a Canon camera, that the metadata, like the serial number, but also the coordinates, for example, or the timestamp is correct.
Awesome. So is it something like that can't be tampered with by someone? It's
at least not easily. So you would. I don't know like how I guess they have it encrypted somewhere in the camera, so you cannot. Obviously, you need some kind of a signature key for this. I guess it's somewhere in the hardware, so you cannot easily extract it.
I was just going to say, I mean, Ryan's probably the better one to talk about this, but I'm curious. about the tech side of your Photoprism platform, kind of the underlying tech stack and what that looks like, particularly with your search, because it seems like you can search up different things in your photos. Is the AI trained on, image data? How does that sort of thing work?
So the tech stack is we're using Go in the backend.
Mm-hmm.
But the model we use, it's like a pre-trained model. It was created for like a competition originally. So it's like trained on like a standardized image set because you always need some training data. And then also uses like standardized terms. It's called image net and word net. It's like something you do in AI. It's everything is like kind of standardized so that you can compare the performance or like connect them like with other models, and you don't need to like start from scratch and like figure out like how it is working or like kind of image it can classify as this is pretty much standardized, at least for the models that are published on the internet.
Cool. So your tech stack, it's a combination of AI and the metadata. Are like those the two most important factors of how to find a cat, for example, in your picture?
Yeah, so it's all glued together in the back end. It's a Go server application. It's a programming language maintained or originally developed by Google. Mm-hmm. They're also using it for many of their backend services. And the good thing is like it's very fast compared to let's say a PHP or what else you could use. Also faster like in Python or other script languages. And the downside is, however, that it wasn't like originally meant to be used in this way. So it's a bit usually if you have these types of applications, they're written in either Python or JavaScript. From what I know, or like from what I've seen in practice, we're I think the only ones who use the Go programming language. But it was important to have like a very clean source code. It's very well testable. So this all because security is very important to us and the performance is very important to us. And so we made this trade-off, but it also meant a little bit of additional work because it didn't like easily work with everything we wanted to do with all the models. For example, like we had to compile our own version of their library and then also contributed to the Google projects, to the TensorFlow project, so that others can also use it this way.
Got it. And is it just you two working on the project? Michael, it sounds like you're doing most of the coding. Is that true?
Yes, the core team is the two of us, and Michael is the developer. So
okay.
I do a lot of test automation and QA, but I'm not developing features.
Yeah, you get the fun job of saying, hey, this is wrong and fix it for me.
Exactly.
Nice. Say if I upload 100 pictures of my personal pictures from my phone up to Photoprism on my local machine, does your software look at each image and identify objects in each one of those images as they're being uploaded? Like, how does that work?
So this is a process we call indexing. So it's running over the pictures, and during this indexing, all of these things happen. So the AI model is doing the image classification, and it adds like labels like dog, cat, nature. So it's not a real object detection. So it's not detecting single objects like the wheel or small objects. It's more like a classification. And also facial recognition is done on the images. So yes, every image is analyzed.
Okay. So when you say it's an object isn't detected, how does it's indexing instead? How does it know what's in the image?
Basically, let's say there's like different types of models. That all have to do with like, or can be applied to image data. And then there's like these general classification models that like look at a picture as a picture as a whole. Like it could be like a cat in front of a window or something.
Okay.
And then you have there could also be other things, but they might not be like important for the image as such. And then it's like getting classified as like a cat, and then maybe also like 20%. You get like probabilities like 60% cat and 20% window or something like this. Whereas these the models that do the object detection, they're originally the original main use case was for self-driving cars. So because this is a completely different use case, because the cars they need it so they can see like small objects at the end of the road, so they know they need to brake because there's like a person. So these types of models, they usually, at least the ones you get for free, they're usually trained with objects related to this use case for the self-driving cars. So they detect rocks, they detect traffic lights, they detect people and other cars, bicycles. So this is the different object they usually recognize.
Okay, so it's completely different than what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we thought about also adding this, but yeah, the main issue we had with this was that the free models that were available, at least at that time. So we're going to check this again when we have a bit of time. But back then it was mainly for self-driving cars, and like it didn't look like something that provides a good like value to our users.
Because it's not really what you expect. If you have like a scene where you have like maybe your kids in front and somewhere in the background there's like a traffic sign, you want to find the photo based on your kids and not because you're searching for a traffic sign. So this is not how you would approach to find this photo.
Okay, so is your software look for what you think is the most important thing in the photo, and then, for lack of a better word, tag that?
Exactly. This is the reason why we chose the image classification over the object detection. So we plan to use additional models or better models in the future because, as you say, it's evolving a lot, the space.
Sure.
But we also need to take into account which models we can use, because there are restrictions due to the servers or the hardware our users use. So you cannot use like very large or resource-intensive models because most people don't have the hardware to run it. So it's always a trade-off to see.
Yeah, it also took us, I think, at least half a year, I would say, until we had a feeling, like for the model we currently use, had a feeling what the probabilities mean, because we have like different thresholds for each category it can detect. For example, like the cat pictures, they might be reliable. When the model says like 30%, it might be very reliable. But like the
buildings or windows.
Yeah, there's or like different types of animals. They all have like different thresholds where like a human would say, okay, this is what the picture is about. So you cannot like just say, okay, if the probability it outputs is like 50%, then we label it as that. But instead we say, okay, this is something so distinct, and then this works really well, and it's like 10% probability is enough. At least we add it as a keyword so that you can find it. But then there's like generic things like windows or doors, and for that, like I don't want my pictures to be like about doors or windows, even if there's one in the scene. So those generally would have like higher thresholds and get like ignored if there's like a 10% chance or 5% chance if there's the window, then like just ignore it. Yeah.
Do you have like a list of like a database of things that you guys put a less emphasis on, like doors and windows? Is that hard coded in the code?
It is actually something that also other because we were kind of the first ones who did this, and it's actually something that other open source developers took from us because it was like published on GitHub. Some of them asked us if they can use it, and of course, so you will also find the work we did like in other open source projects now.
Awesome, awesome. And what is there a? I didn't check this out. Is there a paid tier, or are you guys looking? Is this a for-profit company? And it has open source code in the background. How are you guys? If you're looking to make it profitable, how are you guys looking to do that?
In the meantime, we originally had everything for free, everything open source, but then like learned that this is not sustainable this way. So what we have now is like I would say like 98% free and open source. And then we have memberships, like 2 membership tiers, like the Essentials and Plus, we call it, where like users can sign up to support us, and then they, for example, they get like additional map types that we also pay for. So they like these are like commercial maps that we give them access to, like satellite maps and like 3D maps when you're like living in the mountains. So you can see the height of the mountains where you took the pictures there. It's not everything is flat.
Oh, awesome.
Stuff like that, and then also some additional admin user interface, so that you don't have to use the terminal to do certain things.
Okay, so it's which is a very awesome. Everything's open source, and then you're gonna have maybe there'll be extra features on top of the open source project that will be paid tiers, but the vast majority of your project is open source and free, which is awesome for the end user.
Exactly, especially everything that makes us kind of unique, and especially all the machine learning, everything is open source.
Very cool. Now, do you guys have it's just you two working on it? Are there other developers that are helping you out, for free? Like, open, because since it's an open source project, do you get pull requests a decent amount of time, or how does that look?
So we do get pull requests, and we do have like, I would say, a handful of contributors who regularly, like 2 or 3 times a year, do something. We do get a lot of one-time contributions. Some people do help answer questions in our chats or help other community members solving their specific problems. Or people do help with translations. So initially we do all new translations with DeepL, for example, but if people find they want to improve something in their native language, then they can improve this.
Like, out of all the people that you've talked to that have used your product, is there anything you see similar, like for use case examples? I mean, everyone wants to use it for privacy. That's an obvious one. Are there any other things that people are using Photoprism for that maybe the general person might not be thinking about?
For everything, we had like somebody asking on Twitter or X, as it's called now. He's like I think he's like a trader and like manages his charts. With it.
So screenshots of his charts.
Yeah, I think there's also many artists. Some of them, they do breasts on it or something, like something you cannot host on Google, or you like might get in trouble.
All right.
And so I haven't seen the pictures, but they said they cannot like use the regular cloud hosting because all the filters are going wild. And so they need to self-host it, although it's like drawings or something, right? But they need to self-host it because they cannot use cloud storage for it.
Well, yeah, there's a fine line. I mean, someone might have, artistic nude pictures or something like that Google might not want, but they're totally fine because they're art. So it may be an example like that people would use on their local, they could use on their local computer with Photoprism, but not with like Google Drive or Google Photos or something like that. So what's the next step for this project? Do you, like, in the future, do you have any goals over the next year or 2?
So we definitely want to grow our team. So currently it's the 2 of us, and developers are expensive. And as we're growing organically, it just takes time until we can afford to hire someone to support us on a regular basis. This is one goal. Then we have a lot of features in the pipeline. And another big point is simplifying the installation, because currently you kind of need to have some technical skills and you need to have a server. And this is something which we want to simplify so that more users can use the software.
Yeah, absolutely. So ideally, you can like just download a binary also on Windows and then just click install, and then we also want to provide our users, or at least our members, like with their own subdomain or something, like the certificate, so that they can securely share their pictures over the internet. Because this is possible right now, but it's like not fully automated. So you need at least some technical skills to get it done. And we think like once this is automated and you just need to click, then the user base would also like grow substantially.
Got it. So you'd be able to, from your local computer, share a picture with somebody else, like across the world, like via a link, and that would link to your local computer. Is that how it would work?
Yeah, so we could, for example, like provide like a proxy service or something similar also to a Cloudflare, where it's like a VPN that when the other person connects to our server, and then we act as a proxy and make it available. Yeah.
Awesome. That'd be very cool. And this works. What if someone uploads a video? What happens with that? Do you index that as well, or is it just for photos?
No, videos work as well. So
okay.
We detect if the video can be played natively by the browser, because Photoprism is a web app, so you open it in your browser. And if a video format is natively supported by a browser, we don't need to do anything with the file. We just do the normal things. We extract a still image where we do like the facial recognition, the image classification, we read the metadata out of videos. It's slightly different than from photos. And then we can play the video. If the format of the video is not supported, we will transcode it to a format that is supported by the browser so that the user can play it.
Yes, actually videos are like a large part. We initially wanted to, because we don't have that many videos, we wanted to focus on photography, but our users said, okay, you have a great application, but I'm not using it without the video support. Then okay, we do like a simple video support. Then the transcoding is so slow. We need hardware support for this. And now like we're supporting all the formats and hardware transcoding with Intel, with AMD, with NVIDIA graphics cards.
Yeah.
Obviously
It's a nightmare.
A lot of work that we wanted to avoid initially, but it's I mean, we listen to our users. If they want us, then sure.
Yeah, but I'm sure it adds 100% of the work on your end. Just the last couple of nights on my end, I do YouTube videos, like educational ones, and I've had the hardest time. My computer just lags and it drops frame rates, and it's still a problem. It's because the encoder is a problem. It's because it's on a Mac, and it's a nightmare. So I can only imagine how much more work that would be on your end, just because it's a never-ending cycle of information that you have to learn about videos. There's a lot of technical details about videos to be able to implement that into your project as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also what's especially complicated are the hybrid formats, like live photos, but also there's something like motion photos that it's like like a live photo, but on Android. And these are like videos that are in the same file as the JPEG image. And so we developed a custom parser that opens the file, then skips everything until the video starts, and then plays the video from the image file.
Wow, that's crazy. So are you talking about like the images that, like on Apple, if you hold the image down, it starts playing? Is that what that is?
Yeah, exactly. But Apple is at least so nice that they create two files, one image file and one video file that you can like open separately. But Google like saves everything in one file, and then if you just open it regularly, it just looks like a regular JPEG image, so you cannot play it.
What? So it's two for the iPhone one? It's two files in one file. Is it like a compressed file, like two files in one?
iPhone is two files.
Okay.
But Android is like just like one file.
Got it. All right. Interesting.
So it's basically a custom format they made up for this,
I
and
see.
it's not usually supported by anything. So we had to develop our own parser for this, own handler, because this is not something that you can usually play.
And of course, it differs between different vendors. So the Google Motion photos do behave differently than the one Samsung, for example.
Yeah, on top of that, then there can also be like with different formats in these single files. So it's a real nightmare, but it was also fun. It was a challenge.
Yeah, I bet. But all that, like stuff like this is coming out. Like there's new formats and files all the time. It's not like it's just going to end one day, right? Like there's going to be something next week that will probably come out that you have to implement.
It's an ongoing challenge, definitely.
Yeah.
And how many users do you have right now?
So I would estimate around 40,000.
Yeah, like we have probably many more users, but these are like because we serve the geo data and the maps for our users, and so we have like a bit of traffic data, so we can estimate how many instances there are, and so there's like every day around 40,000 active instances, but then there's like or like servers, but they can also have on each instance there can also like be multiple users and so on, and some people probably don't have it connected to the internet, so those won't be detected at all.
I think how we found you guys is on GitHub. You're one of the top projects in the AI space in terms of being trending. So that's says something a lot right there. It's hard. It's not easy to, get a lot of stars and pull requests and things like that and downloads. So awesome work. Because usually the projects on GitHub, in my opinion, are the best ones because they've got the best coders behind them. And if they're doing well and other coders or programmers like them, that says a lot about the project. So awesome job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work, and like we both have a scientific technical background. So that was actually like the most challenging part about this was figuring out like how to make it like sustainable, how to organize the community, how like and also like being resilient when some users when they're not satisfied, they're getting like really angry, and this is like sometimes a real challenge when you like need to focus on something, work on something really complicated, and then like one of your users screams to you like because of the frustration, and you just need to like find a way around that. Still be nice and like don't let it impact your work, and like so you can do what you like what you're currently doing, and don't need to like take some time off to cool down or something.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating sometimes. Like sometimes I think everyone has this problem where you wake up in the morning and you're just putting fires out all day, and not getting really what you wanted to get done. So it's probably like that on steroids for open source project.
We get so much positive feedback. So it's basically, I would say like 99% of the feedback is extremely positive. But then there comes like this one negative thing, or like somebody like just had too much coffee.
Yeah, it's crazy how like those little negative things, if 99% of things are positive, we tend to focus on the negative sometimes, so it's just like, it's awesome to know that your 99% of your stuff is positive and being welcomed by the community. So that's great.
Yeah, I think it's just human, and like usually like in like a big company like that's like technical support staff who takes care of it. And the challenge for us really is that like we're doing everything on our own. So we need like way to like deal with this, and so that like the one thing that happens like this one task doesn't like impact what you like want to do next.
Definitely. And It's not like when you're running a GitHub, any open source project, you don't have any time off really, right? It's not like you work till 5 p.m. and shut down. Like you're always working.
We're always working, and even if we have gone through all mails in the evening, in the morning we have a lot more because we have users all over the world, so from all different time zones. Also in the chat, there's like all around the day questions coming in, even when we're sleeping.
Is there anything other than Photoprism.app that you guys would like to promote, or anything you'd like to promote? Now's the time to do it.
This is all we have.
That's it. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
So be sure to check out Photoprism.app. Very cool. They got a demo on there that you can check out. If you haven't already, we'll put the link underneath. But and then also subscribe to Ryan and I's weekday newsletter, fry-ai.com. You can get weekday news, the latest in AI, along with some cool tools and community engagement. And also subscribe to Behind the Bots, where you can see all different cool interviews with different developers.